I wish the ring had never come to me.
The Lord of the Rings is a franchise that has not been outdated for 20 years. It is still being rewatched with pleasure by millions of viewers around the world, so it is not surprising that Amazon decided to make a prequel series about the world we love. What is so unique about this franchise? How did director Peter Jackson manage to shoot not just passing fantasy blockbusters, but really high-quality films? What visual techniques help us to plunge into the world of Middle-earth? Today on About Movies, we will figure out how this masterpiece franchise is organized inside. Sit back and let's get started. Speaking of The Lord of the Rings, it's difficult not to immediately recall such shots. They are super far distant shots, static or taken from a helicopter. Why are they needed? Director Peter Jackson not only tells the viewer the actual information where the action takes place, but also sets the scale of the story. We have an epic picture with many heroes, events, and locations. Sometimes tiny figures of heroes appear against the background of desert landscapes. The contrast of scale demonstrates what incredible difficulties they face, how small their strength is compared to the severity of the path. After all, we all know,
not simply walk into Mordor.
If the distant views show us where the heroes are and what is happening to them, then the close-up shots show us how they feel. Peter Jackson uses them very often during romantic scenes, battles, or comic moments.
I have no memory of this place.
It is important for the director not only to impress us with special effects, as to allow the audience to join the emotions of the characters. Especially often, Peter Jackson shows super close-up shots of the eyes. This is the ultimate moving closer to the inner emotional world of the characters. Through super close-up shots, the director allows us to consider the texture of surfaces, material, dirt, and roughness, which makes the fictional world more tangible. But perhaps the main subject of the material world of the trilogy is the One Ring. It is shown to us very often. The super close-up shot of the ring makes it stand out from the rest of the objects, makes it visually larger, and gives the status of a separate character in the story. The whole point of the trilogy could be conveyed only by these two shots. Starting from the key plot of the story, the little hobbit carries the ring to Mordor. Peter Jackson chooses the contrast of close-up and far shots as a style-forming device for the entire trilogy. For example, here is a close-up of Gandalf, who is standing on the balcony and lighting a pipe. In the next far-distance shot, the darkness of Mordor covered everything around, or a huge throne room, where the wide shot is enhanced by the overhead camera, and a small hobbit experiencing his worthlessness. The same abrupt transition allows us to express the alienation between the characters and the grief of a father who lost his son. The abrupt transition between the close-ups of the views alienates the hero from his surroundings and shows the scale of the challenge that the world poses to him. Yeah, evil is bigger and stronger, but nevertheless.
Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
In the meantime, we will move on to the next point. You can write in the comments which part of the trilogy you like the most and why. We read everything and like the most interesting ones. The Lord of the Rings is, of course, a story about the struggle between good and evil. We have already said that the ring, as a physical embodiment of the power of darkness, becomes a separate hero of the narrative. It gets not only super close-up shots, but also its own point of view. It's not just Gandalf looking at the ring, but the ring is looking at him. Pay attention to the oblique angle. The camera transmits the look of the ring, which means the look of the Dark Lord. The camera tilts regarding the horizon when the Palantir appears. It is the ball through which Sauron can observe others and get into their heads. And when Frodo, the main object of the gaze of the Eye of Sauron, under the influence of the ring experiences an altered mental state, the camera also tilts left and right regarding the horizon. This technique is called the Dutch angle. It is used to express insanity and disorientation. This is how the world appears to the Dark Lord. How else can the dichotomy of good and evil be expressed using shooting angles? When the objects are shot from below, they look menacing. Even the peace-loving hobbit Bilbo, when he falls under the charm of the One Ring, is shown from the bottom point. And the angle from above makes the characters visually smaller and more defenseless. Look at Saruman's last conversation. Although he is almost defeated, he does not leave the heights of his arrogance and contempt for all living things. The whole conversation between the heroes standing on the ground and Saruman answering them from atop his tower is a series of upper and lower angles. But as soon as Saruman dies, the angle immediately changes and we see how he falls down defeated. The change of upper and lower angles is largely the dramaturgy of the events of the trilogy, most of which are battles. The struggle waged by the heroes involves a change of positions of power. There are the shots preceding the final fight. The characters are shown from an upper angle and they seem small and insignificant. And shot from the bottom point, the enemy's gate, in front of which the heroes stand, on the contrary, seems intimidating and impressive. But after Frodo destroys the ring, the angle changes. The change of angle is accentuated by the movement of the camera. Now we look at the Dark Army from above, and the higher the camera, the less threatening it seems and more looks like fleeing cockroaches. Jackson uses the upper and lower angles to express the idea that evil tends to occupy power, build hierarchy, and dominate. And the change of angles suggests that no one's power can last forever. Much about the nature of good and evil is told by the color filters, which Peter Jackson actively uses in films. Good is marked by light and warm shades, and evil is dark and cold. The saturated colors of the Shire, Hobbit homeland, at the beginning of the story are replaced by increasingly pale and lifeless landscapes as they move closer to Mordor. Black is death, and white is life, resurrection, and rebirth. For those who fall under the influence of the ring, black and white are swapped, as in the negatives. We have already said that the world becomes tilted under the gaze of Sauron. Now we see that for his followers, the color turns out to be inverted. What is considered evil by everyone, for example, murder and violence, is a common thing in Mordor. And now let's look at the drama of color in the culmination of the final film. The closer Frodo gets to Mount Doom, the more reddish-orange shades the image gets. Frodo finds himself in the heart of darkness on the edge of the abyss, full of hellfire. In parallel with the fiery scenes, we see shots in white, gray, blue tones. It is a battle between Aragorn's army and the hordes of orcs. Thus, the final battle with evil captures the whole world, as if it happens under the ground and in heaven. And when both battles come to an end, the two colors and storylines are connected in one shot. The finale of the Lord of the Rings trilogy was released more than 15 years ago, but it still remains one of the most beloved films by viewers around the world. Thanks to the directorial talent of Peter Jackson, we do not get tired of rewatching films again and again. The universal history and visual image of the Lord of the Rings will not become obsolete in many years. And every time, it will be possible to find new meanings and discover something important about themselves in the stories about elves and hobbits. And you can click on the icon that appeared on your screen to continue to discover the world of cinema. This video will surely surprise you. Recall that on our channel there are many more video reviews of cult franchises, interesting theories and facts about cinema that many do not know. And that's it for today. About Movies was with you. Like this video and stay with us further, the more interesting it will be.